The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome to the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Park Greigg, and as always, I am here with my co-host, Jacqueline Smith. The 15-Point Plan is simply a system. It is a system that will give you more energy. It will help you reduce your stress. And it was created by our friend and business partner, Ben Kinney, to allow you to follow along in a system that will just simply make your life better. Right, Jacqueline? By following these 15 points, things like watching your goals, things like hydrating, things like moving your body, mindfulness, journaling, taking some time for your hobbies, and all these 15 points that if we check off, we really go from feeling ordinary to extraordinary, just feeling from human to superhuman. Right, Jacqueline?
Absolutely. We love the 15-Point Plan because it's a sustainable system. So it's not like, though you all know, if you've heard me talk about 75 Hard, I love those boosts of intensity. But the 15-Point Plan is meant to live alongside you and grow with you and shift with you through different seasons of life. And that's why I think I like it so much. It's sustainable. And it also addresses mind, body, spirit. It addresses everything. And I find that, and Ryan's the same, when we are following the 15-Point Plan, we are happier, we have less stress, and we just feel more fulfilled and kind of balanced, right?
That's right, 100%. And when we're doing things like the 15-Point Plan, maybe we've done some of these things for a long time, maybe we've done none of them for no time at all. So the goal is finding a rhythm, and the goal is essentially creating a habit. So what we've done over the last week is really a deep dive, and we're going to be continuing over these next couple of weeks. We're doing another book study. You may have heard our previous episode with Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits. But over these last week and these next couple of weeks, we're diving deep into James Clear's Atomic Habits. Because like Jacqueline said, the goal here is to find some motivation. The goal here is to boost our energy by doing these small things through the 15-Point Plan. But what this first law in James Clear Atomic Habits really talks about is how willpower and these bursts of motivation, they kind of wear off, right, Jacqueline?
Yeah, the first law is like, make it obvious. And because of that fact, right? Because motivation, he says motivation's overrated, right? And that what really influences whether or not people stick with habits is the environment. And I actually really liked the one part of the book, of this chapter, where he was talking about kind of doing an audit of all of your habits. And he talked about habits inherently, they're not necessarily good or bad. They are just either supporting the person that you want to become, or they're not. And so all habits actually serve us in some way. And he used the example of smoking. Yeah. He's like in the moment, smoking actually like de-stresses the person smoking. But over the long term, like, it's not good. So like, is it good because it de-stresses in the moment, or is it bad because it has long-term, bad side effects? And he's like, everything is like that. It's either serving us in some way, but may not be good for us over the long term. So he said to go through and just like write out all of your habits, and then to try to figure out, like, is it positive, negative, or neutral for you, right? And so I thought that was a really good place to start, because we can't like change things if we're not aware of them. So some of the things that we do, like the example that he used was like, we get up and we check our phone right away.
Right.
You haven't even gotten out of bed and you're like, the first thing that you reach for is like your phone. And so, that is not positive.
Right.
But if you just do it all the time, you might not even realize it until you do this audit. So I really liked that, because I think all change begins with self-awareness.
Yeah, exactly. And we've talked about that in past episodes. Awareness equals action. And when we see those things that maybe we do every day and they've just become habits and we don't really think about it, if we do that audit, like he said, of literally go through everything you do, start with the morning. You wake up, you brush your teeth, you take a shower, you check your phone, and then you go, well, is that a positive or a negative, or is it neutral? And we've talked about that with how things give or take us energy in the past, how to take our energy and looking at that and thinking, okay, does this item in my life give me energy or does this take energy? And so by doing that audit, it's an awareness audit. And now we're using awareness to then create action. And he talks about having willpower or motivation and that wearing off. But really what shapes our habits is our environment. So back to the phone example, thinking, okay, if you check your phone first thing in the morning, well, what if you had an environment, like he says, where your bedroom was only where you slept? You didn't have your phone in your bedroom. You didn't have anything else in your bedroom. And really, you just focus on your sleep there. So now you've created an environment where you've eliminated that. Another example would be like, I was joking with Jacqueline, was like, my son is always like, Dad, why don't we have any snacks? Why don't we have any cookies or cereal? And I'm like, well, I don't keep that stuff in the house because I want to create environment for healthy nutrition. And if there's cookies in the cabinet, or if there's all these other things that are maybe, quote, junk food, I'm going to eat them. He's going to eat them. If we want to have something like that, let's be purposeful about it. So this idea of creating the environment that you want to thrive and the habits that are most beneficial for you.
Yeah, you just reminded me of when I started 75 Hard in January. It was like New Year's Eve, and I was going through the whole house. Like I had this giant bowl, and I was just going through the cupboards. I was putting everything in this bowl, that I didn't want to have in the house, and brought it into the office, tried to give it away, threw some of it out, but I totally cleaned out all of the freezer, the cabinets, the fridge, because I'm the same way. Like I do not actually have great willpower. Same thing in business. Like we talk a lot about time blocking. Well, I shared this with my team recently. Like I have no self-control. So I have to tell everyone, like, please don't contact me between this time and this time, like my husband and my kids and everyone. I have to tell my phone not to buzz. So I have to put on do not disturb, and I just have to really like shut everything out, because if I see a message, I want to respond to it.
Yeah.
So turning it off makes it so I don't have to have willpower.
That's right. Right. And setting expectations, like you said, setting the expectations to eliminate that need for the willpower. And again, creating that environment that's going to be a successful environment for our habits that we want to build. And, another one of the points from the 15-point plan is the learning category. And are we putting ourselves into an environment of learning? In other words, what's that environment look like for us? How can we learn? And oftentimes that's just being in the right rooms with the right people. And Jacqueline, I was curious because you're so inspiring. Like you go to these places, like you're leaving tomorrow to go to a business mastermind, but you just came from an environment, a type of place where, from what I understand, you were around some pretty high level thinkers. And I was just curious how being in that environment shaped your thoughts on learning, shaped your thoughts on this Jacqueline 2.0 that you're creating, which is so cool.
It's so funny because I've been working with my personal coach, Giselle Ugarte, since the beginning of the year. And she saw me make a post about Jacqueline 2.0. And she was like, no, girl, we're on 3.0. And then she emailed me yesterday to set up my next call. And she was like, 4.0. We're doing 4.0. So I guess that in itself, that creates an environment when you're around people that push you right out of your comfort zone, and they push you maybe to go faster than you would go on your own, or to go further than you would go on your own. That's so valuable, because by nature, we tend to do what's comfortable. We tend to do, and even our habits, like we just get in this routine, right? And she's constantly helping me think bigger and push me outside of my comfort zone. She does keynotes for, like, I don't know, I would poop my pants if I did like some of the stuff she does, like she does like keynotes at Inman and all of these big things. And I'm like, gosh, I'm just trying to do like a class with, 100 people at my brokerage over here.
Right.
And but she's constantly calling out like my language, because your language creates an environment, you know, you don't realize it, but what you're speaking over yourself and about your future, you know, is it a habit of speaking negative, or diminishing yourself? Or do you have a habit of speaking life and hope and potential and possibility, you know? And so I think that you're right. Like, our environments do matter, and they're so shaped by the people, the other people in them and around us.
100%. You know, another point from the plan is the influences.
Yes.
And are we putting ourselves into the right situation with the right people so that we're getting the positive influences? Mm-hmm. And Jacqueline, I just got to say, like, I love the fact, like you mentioned, oh, I just want to be like in front of 100 people. Well, I would be willing to bet 98 or 99 of those people think of you like how you just spoke of your coach, mm-hmm. thinking like, you know, I look up to Jacqueline, like she's super influential to me. And I think it's really admirable that somebody like you, who's a pilot, who's a business leader, who's got so many things in their life going on for them, still takes that time to have the desire to be uncomfortable. Like, you have a personal coach. Mm-hmm. And people might look at you and go, Jacqueline's got it all figured out. Like, Jacqueline is a successful person. Yeah. Yet you still want that growth. You still want to keep going. And you're right. Even I said Jacqueline 2.0, and I thought, well, wait a minute. And like your coach said, like, you're 4.0 or 5.0. And what I love about that is, I don't know if there is are we looking to reach level 5, a level 10? I don't know. Yeah. I don't think so. I just love the constant evolution. And that is my goal too, is to not have a ceiling. I don't want to hit Ryan 10.0. I just want to keep going and evolving, mm-hmm. and being in these rooms around people that shape my environment. And then maybe I hit a goal and I go, okay, well, that's cool. Well, what about now? I mean, I'm a different person than I was mm-hmm. 5 years ago, which we've talked about, looking at our journals, looking at our digital journals.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to know that people like you that got so many things in life figured out still desire that discomfort so that you can grow.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Ryan. I mean, I feel like if we're not growing, we're dying.
Yeah.
And so I guess it gives us a sense of aliveness, for me anyways. And life gets really fun and really fulfilling when you start to make it about other people. So yes, I have a personal coach, but it's not because it's all about me. It's because I want to be able to have the biggest impact that I can in my time here on this earth. And, you know, I have a saying like, why make a ripple when you can make a wave? And so in order for me to do that, I personally, you know, I've said it lots, I'll be a lump on a log. Like, I'm just going to be like comfortable and, you know, snuggle up with my cat if I were left to my own devices. So I have to surround myself with people that are showing me how, you know, showing me what's possible. And just like you're doing, look at you, like I'm going to have a Guinness Book of World Records soon.
That's right. March of next year, I will have a Guinness World Record by climbing Mount Kilimanjaro in a record time with a really cool group of people. You know, it's, I heard yesterday, I think it was, Jacqueline, Jeremy Larkin, one of our business partners, said this thing, and it really like, it hit me because he's like, you know, I just want to like go out and work with our agents and then lock myself in my office and make calls. And I was like, yeah, dude, I feel the same way sometimes. But what you just said reminded me how we can't do that, about this idea of the more we spend focusing on ourselves, the more limited that we are, and the more time that we spend focusing on that ripple effect or creating the wave into others, mm-hmm. our life is going to grow so much more. And when he said that, I thought of myself going, yeah, I know. I just want to, like, I'm in an office right now by myself at the door so I can't see anybody walking by. And I think sometimes this is great. I can really focus. But I'm really limiting myself, aren't I, by staying in this closed space. Now, I know I don't stay in here all the time, but that really kind of hit me yesterday, of this idea of, okay, let me just go hide away and focus on me. Yes, we need to focus on ourselves sometimes, but I think we got to be careful about focusing too much on ourselves and not stepping out to really make sure that we're impacting the people around us as much as we might be potentially able to.
Yeah. That's actually a great example of what he talks about, like the cigarette example.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that feels good in the moment. And of course, there's times where we need to be locked away and, focus time blocks. But I guess it's more about why are we doing it? Right. So why are we doing that? Are we doing that so that we can serve people better? Are we doing that so we can create opportunity for those we care about? Are we doing that so that we, can grow and get better and stronger and then therefore go out and serve people at a higher level? And like Brendan Burchard always says, bring our A game.
Right.
Or are we doing it because maybe we're being kind of selfish and self-centered. And over time, that leads to less fulfillment. It's like proven. So it might feel good in the moment, just like the cigarette, but over time, it will lead to less fulfillment, even though it feels really good in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. So remember that not only do we seek positive influences for ourselves, but we are often a positive influence to other people. And let's keep working on ourselves and becoming that 2.0 or 5.0. And let's keep finding that discomfort. That's one of my takeaways from today's call is put yourself into the environment that will cause that growth. And a lot of times that environment is not comfortable, but it's that discomfort in those environments that will push us to our next level. So if you didn't listen to last episode, jump back on last episode. You can find it at wouldn'tmakegive.com. We're diving deep into James Clear's Atomic Habits. Next week, we'll be diving into the second law. Of course, you can check all of our previous episodes as well as all of our podcasts at our podcast network at wouldn'tmakegive.com. And as always, you can find Jacqueline and myself on all social media platforms, Ryan Park Greigg and Jacqueline Ray Smith.
Thanks, everyone. Catch you on the next episode.
Bye, everyone.